بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد. Inshallah, we'll carry on with our sessions from the kitab of Sheikh Abu Fattah Abu Ghudda on Islamic manners. So inshallah today we'll begin the main topic of social manners, and under the social manners we'll look at respect and favoring the elderly, and the elderly, the right to lead the prayers when everyone is equal in knowledge, and also the etiquettes of walking with the elderly. So inshallah we'll have these sessions every Monday after Maghrib Salah. So Sheikh writes 5.1, respect and favor the elderly. He says, recognize the status of the elderly and give them their due respect. So this is the first point, that we have to understand and recognize the status which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Sharia and the Sunnah of Rasulullah has given to our elderly. And we need to give them their due respect. Sheikh says, when walking with them, walk slightly behind to their right. So walk with them, then you walk slightly behind to their right. And let them enter and exit first. So you let them enter a place and leave first. So give them the adab, the respect. If you meet them, greet them properly and respectfully. Not just, oh, how are you and stuff. No, assalamu alaikum, khariyat se, properly, nicely. Not just in a quick way, the way we greet friends or young people. No, properly with their due respect. And Sheikh says, if you discuss something with them, let them speak first. To pehle unko bolne do. And listen to them attentively and graciously. Then listen to them properly. If the conversation involves debate, then you should remain polite, calm, and kind-hearted, and sometimes that we can end up becoming, the debate can become heated, or we can start arguing over something. But even then, if you are disagreeing on something, we still have to maintain the respect and remain polite, calm, and kind-hearted. So never ever forget to remain respectful. And it happens sometimes that we forget this respect and we don't even care who we are talking to or who we are conversing with. Then we just say whatever comes to mind, and even then we don't look whether we are doing this in private or in public. So whatever comes to mind, we will just say, and in our minds will be that I want to humiliate this person. Isko aaj sikhana hai. So this is not the etiquette of conversation or when dealing with other people in debate, especially with the elderly. And then Sheikh says, let me mention some of the Prophet ﷺ's ahadith that uphold these polite manners. Imam Bukhari and Muslim report that Abdullah ibn Sahal, once he made a trip with Mahisa ibn Mas'ud in Zayd to Khaybar. So they traveled from Zayd to Khaybar. Now, on the way, when they were about to return, Mahisa found out that Abdullah was murdered. He was a witness. Unka khoon ho gaya. So he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he took his older brother with him, Huwaisa, and also the murdered victim, his brother Abdurrahman ibn Sahal. So they all went together as a group. And Mahisa, who witnessed the incident, so because he witnessed the incident, so he actually what happened. Witness the incident, you should not say anything now. Let the elders speak first. So then he let Huwaisa speak, who was his elder brother, and then Mahisa spoke. Another story emphasizes this behavior further. Another hadith that Abdullah ibn Umar anhu, when he was young, he was in a gathering with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and
the senior Sahaba, like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and his own father, Umar radiallahu anhu. So now he was very young at that time, and he was in the company of these great Sahaba, eminent Sahaba. The Prophet ﷺ asked a question to these Sahaba and said that, tell me, what is a tree that does not shed its leaves and which is like the Muslim? So tell me about a tree which does not shed its leaves. So darakh nahi girte, and it's like a Muslim. So then the companions began to suggest different names of trees found in the desert. But then Abdullah ibn Umar anhu, he thought that this is the date palm tree, the khajur ka darkh. But he never said anything. Since he was the youngest, and he seen that in the company that Abu Bakr anhu is Umar anhu, mujhse bare sahaba hai, wo kuch nahi farma rahe, then why should I say something? So he remained silent and he shied away and didn't say anything. So then the Prophet ﷺ gave the answer and said that it is the palm tree. So then anhu later father that he knew the right answer. Umar he told him that he knew the right answer, but he felt shy to say the answer in front of all the Sahaba. But then Umar said to his son that for you to have said it right then, he said, would have been worth a lot to me. Meaning that अपना बेटा का इल्म मालूम होता है कि इतने बड़े लोग हैं मगर उसको जवाब आया जब दूसरों को भी नहीं मालूम था. But Umar anhu, his son Abdullah ibn Umar, he understood the etiquette that they are elderly there, they are more knowledgeable Sahaba there, then I should not say anything. So he maintained the respect and the dignity of the Sahaba. Imam Ahmad, Imam Hakim, and At-Tabrani, the report that Ubadah ibn As-Samit stated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith, he said, whoever does not respect our elders is not one of us. जो हमारे बड़ों का अदब नहीं करता वो हम में से नहीं. So we have to respect our elders. These are the etiquettes that we need to inculcate in our children from a young age. अगर बचपन से उनमें ये अखलाक ये आदाब नहीं सिखाएंगे तो बड़े होकर वो खुद ही वालिदैन का अदब नहीं करेंगे. Forget other elders. They won't respect their own parents. They won't do their khidmat when their parents become at an age when they are dependent on their children. And another hadith mentions, another version says that whoever does not respect our elders is not compassionate to our youth. तो इसमें दूसरी बात भी है कि जो बड़ों का अदब नहीं करता और छोटों से मोहब्बत का बर्ताव नहीं करता. He does not show compassion and does not show love, does not show kindness to the young people. And the third thing the Prophet ﷺ says, and does not give our ulama, our scholars, due honor. So they don't give the due honor and respect to the ulama. So he says that he is not one of us. Hum mein se nahi. So meaning to show that how distasteful it was to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say that he is not from amongst us. If you don't respect the elderly, if you don't show compassion to the young ones, and you don't honor the ulama. And today sometimes as elder people, they end up saying that today the youth don't respect me, or they don't respect the elderly. So one is, yes, they don't respect. Why? They've not been taught respect. But the other reason is that the elders, they don't show compassion to the young ones. They don't understand the young ones. They don't try to communicate with the young ones effectively. Then what happens? You have this gap which is created between the elderly and the youth. And everyone has their own way of life, own way of doing things. And then they clash between each other. So that's why it's hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we respect the elderly show compassion to the young ones and honor to the ulama. And Sheikh says that here, because he mentions about respecting the elderly, he says this should not be taken that we begin to belittle the youth or look down upon the youth. He says Imam Bukhari reported hadith that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrated that Umar radiallahu anhu used to allow him to attend his court with senior Sahaba who attended the Battle of Badr. So they were present. And Umar radiallahu anhu would let Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, was very young at that time, to be part of the gathering of the court. So then some of the elderly Sahaba, they felt uneasy. And they said that why are you permitting him to attend when he is as young as our children? हमारे बच्चों की तरह ही है. आप इनको यहाँ आने क्यों देते? कभी होता है ना कि when we say we don't like children coming there, so like we are all elderly people, why children coming here? But then Umar radiallahu anhu replied that he is knowledgeable, as you well know, कि उसके पास इल्म है, आपको मालूम है कि वो अहल इल्म है. Because of his knowledge, he got the respect. Another version elaborates that Umar radiallahu anhu asked the seniors once to explain Surah Fatiha. And only Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he managed to explain Surah Fatiha properly. Then Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says that I thought he asked the question just to demonstrate and the next one, the elderly are to lead the prayers. Sheikh says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the youth the manners of companionship and the custom of giving precedence to the elders. Imam Bukhari Muslim report that the honored companion Malik bin al-Hawarith radiallahu anhu said, I was with a youth group, a group of youth that went to visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says we stayed in Medina with the Prophet for 20 nights. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very, very kind and compassionate. So he treated them really, really well and was very good to them. And then he also sensed that we might have missed our families back home because we are away for around 20 days. And he asked us about whom we had left behind. And then when we told him who we had left behind, who our family was behind, he said to us then, go back to your families, go back, live with them and teach them Islam. Meaning that whatever you have learned, you go live with them and you teach them and you pass it on whatever you have learned. And he says that, tell them of all the good deeds. And then he mentioned, at the time of Salah, let one of you call the adhan and have your eldest lead the prayer. तुम्हें सबसे बड़ा वो नमाज पढ़ाए. Now Sheikh mentions Rasulullah specified in this particular case that the eldest should lead the prayers since they were equal in their knowledge and learning. इसलिए कि वो सीखने सिखाने में बराबर थे. That's why he said that the eldest amongst you, because you are equal in knowledge, then the eldest amongst you should lead the salah. And then Sheikh says, being older in such a case, merits leading the prayers. But he says, if a person is more knowledgeable, then he should lead the prayers, since knowledge is an honor higher than age, as could be seen in the hadith on this subject. तो अगर कोई शख्स के पास ज्यादा इल्म हो, he is more knowledgeable than someone who is elderly than them, then the person who is more knowledgeable deserves to lead the prayers more than the one who is elderly, because knowledge has a higher status than age. इससे ये भी मालूम होता है कि अहले इल्म का मर्तबा क्या है. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who respect our elderly and also our ulama. If the prayers were offered at a house, the host is entitled to lead it. तो किसी घर हम खाने गए तो जो हमारा मेहमान है उसका हक बनता है कि वो नमाज पढ़े. But this is again also in case that when the person is knowledgeable. The basic etiquettes, the basic knowledge of leading prayers are there. ऐसा ना कि वो उसको नमाज सही का पढ़ाने का आता ही नहीं, सूरह फातिहा भी सही नहीं पढ़ता और फिर वो नमाज पढ़े, ऐसा नहीं. But this is at a level when people around them, they are of a similar level. And then out of respect, the host may request a person who is more knowledgeable, older or more prominent than him to lead the salah. If the guest declines, then the host should not hesitate to lead the prayers. Imam Ahmad reported in his Musnad that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud anhu, he once visited Abu Musa Ash'ari radiallahu anhu. And then when it was time for salah, Abu Musa asked Ibn Mas'ud that please lead the salah since you are older and you have more knowledge. But then Ibn Mas'ud said, no, you lead the prayer. This is your house and this is your praying area. कि आपका घर है, आप हमेशा यहाँ नमाज पढ़ते हैं. Then you should lead the prayer. So then Abu Musa radiallahu anhu, he led the prayer then. So from this we again learn that the one who is the host, then he has a big right to lead the prayer. 5.3, walking with the elderly. To illustrate this point of how to walk with the elderly, Sheikh says, I will cite the jurist Ali ibn Mubarak al-Qarqi, rahimahullah, who studied under Imam Abi Ya'la al-Hanbali, who was himself a jurist and a judge. And he was the chief sheikh of the Hanbali fiqh school of law. So he says that one day, the judge Abu Ya'la, he said to me while I was walking with him, तो हम साथ चल रहे थे, तो मुझे उन्होंने कहा that if you walk with someone you honor, where would you walk? अगर आप किसी के साथ चलते हैं जो आपसे बड़ा है, ज़्यादा इज्जत वाला है, तो आपको कहाँ चलना चाहिए? Then he said, I don't know. So Sheikh said to him that walk to his right. Walk to his right, meaning if the person is here, then you walk to his right, meaning to your left. Okay? And then he says that place him at the position of Imam in the prayer. कि आपसे बड़े हैं, बाअदब हैं, is more honorable, more respected, then more prominent than you, then is like the Imam leading you and you walk behind him. And then he says, leave his left side clear in case he needs to spit or get rid of dirt. कुछ फेंकना थूकना हो तो उसके लिए वो हो. And then Sheikh mentioned another interesting story. We'll finish with that inshallah. An interesting story in regards which happened upon 3 ulama. So one of them was the judge, Ahmad ibn Umar bin Surayh. The next one was a faqih, Muhammad ibn Dawood al-Zahiri. And the third one was the linguist. His name was Naftawi. So one was a judge, one was a faqih, and one was a linguist, meaning he knew about nahwa and sarf and the grammar. Okay. So now they were once walking together when they came to a very, very narrow passageway. Now all 3 of them cannot go together. They have to let one to go at a time. Now each one of them wanted the other to go. So you go, the one said you go. They all wanted to go, the other one to go first. So Ibn Surayh, he says that a narrow street brings ill manners. What do you say? A narrow street brings about ill manners. Because you can't fulfill the etiquette. So there has to be some give and take. Ibn Dawood, he responded by saying that though it points out the status, that everybody will not want to go and they will want someone else to go to show that they respect the other one more and his status is more, that they don't want to pass or unko jane dete, letting the other one go. And then Naftawi, he says that when friendship prevails, formalities disappear. कि जब दोस्ती होती है तो उसमें जो आपस में formality होती है वो गायब हो जाती है, because you are amongst friends. Now the story does not tell who went ahead of the others, but Sheikh says it is likely that the first one to go was Ahmad ibn Surayh, since he was a judge and a prominent imam at the time, and he ranked above his 2 companions. And he said a narrow street brings ill manners. He was saying this because he was apologizing out of politeness that he went ahead and did not let the others, or the others forced him and he had to go ahead. कि तंग गली में हमारे अखलाक चले जाते हैं. Why? He said this, why? Because they said you have to go. Okay? In a way of apologizing. And then he said that he could not have said it if any of the 2 moved ahead, since that would have been impolite because of his status according to those 2. And he says that there's a possibility that Naftawi went ahead, since his words could be an apology for doing that, since he is the least ranked. इसलिए कि वो तीनों में से उनका सबसे कम दर्जा था, because in terms of knowledge he was a linguist. So he went second. That is why he said that when friendship prevails, formalities disappear as a form of apologizing that I went ahead of the other one, even though he was more knowledgeable than me. But because we are friends, then things can be up and down. So Sheikh mentions, it is just wonderful to see such perfect behavior and nice apologies. तो किस तरह वो आपस में मिलजुल करते थे, अखलाक थे उनके, and how they gave respect to each other. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who have these adab and etiquettes within us, so that we can also, have this respect and have this atmosphere and environment where we all respect each other. आजकल क्या होता है कि बस हमारा पॉइंट है, मैं सही हूँ बाकी सब गलत, मेरा हक है और किसी का हक नहीं, मैं पहले करूँ, मैं, me, myself and I. That's what's come inside us. But this is not what it was. The Sahaba, the Deen, the Prophet ﷺ teaches us that always give preference to others. That in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a verse about the Sahaba that that they give preference to others, وَلَوْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ, that they give preference to others over others even though themselves they are going to face poverty. कि दूसरों को तरजीह देते हैं अगरचे खुद गुर्बत में है. This was the Sahaba. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all these qualities. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.